to the TokyoBill Weekly Update, an end-of-week news brief on events in and around Japan. Today is July 20th, 2024. A statue of Sasaki Sadako, a girl who died of leukemia due to radiation exposure in the 1945 U.S. atomic bombing of Hiroshima, has disappeared from a park in the United States. Police are investigating the incident as theft, with only the figure's feet remaining in place. The statue was erected in Seattle in Sadako's memory in 1990, funded by peace activist Floyd Schmo. Local media reports suggested scrap metal dealers may have been involved due to a rising price of copper. The statue's right arm had been cut off in 2003, and later restored after a fundraising campaign in Japan and the United States. To combat the problem of surreptitious photography, Japanese uniforms using a new material have been created for the Paris Olympics to protect female athletes. Sportswear maker Mizuno Corporation developed a special thread that blocks infrared rays, preventing underwear from being visible in photos using infrared cameras. Athletes involved in the development process expressed relief at being able to play their sport without worry of such secret photography. Mizuno plans to use the new material for other sportswear and innerwear products. In the meantime, the issue of secret photographing persists, with calls for increased awareness and vigilance towards spectators engaging in the practice. In billiards news, Antonio Lining of the Philippines won the 2024 10-ball Tokai Grand Prix by defeating Taiwan's Lo Li-wen 8-0 in Aichi Prefecture. Despite being 61 years old, Lining showcased his experience and accuracy to dominate his younger opponent. Lining previously won the Japan Open in 2014 and 2006 and has a history of impressive performances in billiards. He defeated Li Wen after a strong start from his opponent, ultimately securing the victory. Prior to this win, Lining defeated other Japanese players in the tournament, including Shosuke Hamada, Kento Oda, and Kenichi Uchigaki. Japan's foreign and mixed-race population is growing, with 1 in 50 children having a non-Japanese parent. A recent survey in Japan found that 98% of individuals with foreign heritage have experienced microaggressions, such as comments questioning their Japanese identity. The nationwide survey of 448 respondents, aged 18 to 39, also revealed high rates of bullying and discrimination based on identity. Testimonies included instances of employment termination and inappropriate comments by teachers. One committee member, Dr. Yoshitaka Shimoji, visiting scholar at the University of California, Berkeley, emphasized the importance of understanding and inclusion for people with diverse backgrounds in Japan. And finally, snails, once common in parks during the rainy season, are now becoming scarce due to urbanization and dry conditions. Changes in vegetation, soil environment, and removal of fallen leaves in urban parks are contributing to their decline. Snails, moving slowly and in limited geographic ranges, find it difficult to relocate to new green spaces, even if suitable spaces are created. About half of the 200 snail species in the Kinki region in west-central Japan are at risk of extinction. Experts emphasize the importance of protecting snail habitats and raising awareness about their situation to prevent further extinctions. Japan's Naoya Monster Inoue announced that he will defend his 4 super bantamweight world titles against former IBF title holder TJ Doheny of Ireland on September 3rd. Inoue, who is undefeated with 27 wins and 24 knockouts, aims to showcase his boxing style and maintain his dominant position in the ring. The fight is set to take place at Tokyo's Ariake Arena. Additionally, WBO bantamweight champion Yoshiki Takei, will defend his title against former flyweight world champion Daigo Higa on the same card. Inoue is prepared for a tough fight against Doheny, who has knockout power and size advantage. The United States Navy is sending F-35C Lightning II fighters and CMV-22B Osprey aircraft to Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni in Japan to replace old F-818 Super Hornets and C-2A Greyhound transports in response to tensions with China. The F-35C, the Navy's most advanced fighter, will help address current threats with its larger weapons base and extended operational range. The CMV-22B Osprey also brings improvements over the C-2A and supports carrier strike groups. Despite delays from an Osprey crash, transitioning to the CMV-22B is considered vital for combat readiness. This upgrade aligns with the Navy's strategy to deter potential threats in the Western Pacific and maintain power projection capabilities. Japan has opted a policy against the development of fully autonomous lethal weapons, emphasizing the importance of human involvement in decision-making processes. The Japanese government submitted a paper to the United Nations outlining its stance on LAWS, Lethal Autonomous Weapons Systems, stating that these weapons should not be allowed globally. The paper also acknowledged potential benefits of autonomous arms, such as reducing human error and addressing manpower shortages. Global concerns over the use of autonomous weapons are growing, with efforts to set regulations on their deployment underway. Japan's annual quotas for Pacific bluefin tuna catches are to increase. The Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission's Northern Committee decided to raise Japan's annual quota for large bluefin tuna by 50% and that for smaller bluefin tuna by 10%. Japan had originally requested a much larger increase in quotas. The agreement was reached at a meeting in Kushiro, Hokkaido, and will be formalized at the Commission's annual meeting in Fiji in November and December. Currently, the overall annual quota for large tuna is 7,600 tons, with Japan receiving 5,600 tons, and for smaller tuna, the quota is 4,725 tons, with Japan getting just over 4,000 tons. In our last story, Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings Incorporated completed its 7th round of treated radioactive water discharge from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the ocean. Around 7,800 tons of water were released, with no abnormal tritium levels detected in nearby waters. The water is treated using an advanced liquid processing system to remove most radionuclides before discharge. TEPCO detected 18 becquerels of tritium per liter in seawater samples, below the required limit for discharge. The water release is part of the decommissioning process for the plant, which experienced fuel meltdowns in 2011. Plans include discharging about 55,000 tons over 7 rounds in fiscal 2024. The Hawaii Community Development Authority is partnering with Kanoa Winds Incorporated to bring innovative vertical wind turbine technology from Japan to Hawaii. The project aims to test the suitability of these turbines for the Hawaiian Islands, where the reliance on fossil fuels for electricity is a challenge. The VCCT wind turbines have proven to be efficient in Japan, with benefits such as adaptability to various wind conditions, compact size, and minimal impact on the environment. Testing of a small-scale VCCT unit is set to begin near the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation Entrepreneur Sandbox to evaluate its performance. Kanoa Winds envisions these turbines powering homes, businesses, and public buildings in Hawaii. Japan's antitrust watchdog is investigated Visa Incorporated's Japanese unit for allegedly pressuring credit card companies to use only its credit card information system, potentially stifling competition. Visa is suspected of charging higher fees to companies that did not use its network, forcing them to switch or stop using rivals' networks. The Japan Fair Trade Commission conducted an inspection at Visa's office in Tokyo. The investigation will also look into Visa's Singaporean unit and its U.S. headquarters. Visa is the most used credit card brand in Japan, accounting for half of the market share. Hearing-impaired children in Shizuoka, Japan will receive support through an Australian $6.5 million program funded by the city and the Australian government. The Shepherd Centre, an Australian non-profit organization, will train experts at Shizuoka Prefecture Hospital for 3 years, aiming to address hearing problems at a younger age. Japan has a low adoption rate of hearing aids and cochlear implants, but hopes to lower the threshold for government subsidies and decrease the age of implant eligibility. Australia has successfully implemented cochlear implants for children, with over 90% receiving them. The collaboration between Australia and Japan shows promise for improving support for hearing-impaired children. 6 Vietnamese nationals have been arrested for growing around 1,500 cannabis plants for sale in a warehouse in Ibaraki Prefecture. The suspects cultivated the plants in pots with advanced equipment like LED lighting and ventilation systems. The street value of the cannabis is estimated to be over 350 million yen. The illegal operation was discovered after a fire at a warehouse in Saitama Prefecture, which led to the police finding more cannabis cultivation facilities in Chiba Prefecture. The suspects have not commented on the charges, and the investigation is still ongoing. The surge in tourism in Japan has caused a shortage of jet fuel, leading to airlines canceling flights to the country. This shortage is attributed to a decrease in the number of oil refineries, labor shortages in the transport industry, and the increased distance that fuel must travel. The government is struggling to find a solution due to a shortage of ships, an aging population, and restrictions on foreign manpower for coastal ships. Additionally, the government is balancing the need for more flights with the goal of reducing carbon emissions and achieving a net zero society by 2050. This poses a significant challenge for Japan's tourism industry and sustainable development plans. Japan is introducing a pre-clearance system for visitors to undergo entry screenings at departure airports, aiming to shorten arrival procedures at Japanese airports. The initiative will start with travelers from Taiwan in January, with plans to expand and assess its effectiveness. However, some popular tourist areas are facing issues with over-tourism, impacting local residents and visitor satisfaction. The government is addressing this with guidelines to manage tourist sites and possibly introduce special fees for foreign visitors. Despite these challenges, Japan continues to see a steady increase in foreign travelers, with over 3 million visitors in May. A 77-year-old Japanese yachtsman was taken into custody after landing at White Beach Naval Facility in Okinawa this week. He sailed a leisure vessel into restricted waters near White Beach, prompting U.S. military police to report him to the Coast Guard. The gentleman, who hails from Saitama Prefecture, carried no identification, and remains in custody at Nagagusuku Coast Guard Office. If convicted, he could face imprisonment for up to a year or a small fine. The incident is still under investigation, and it is unclear whether he will be released or prosecuted within the next 48 hours. Leaders of 18 Pacific Island nations and territories have agreed to give Japan a greater role in the region's development while opposing coercive activities, as outlined in a joint declaration at the Pacific Islands Leaders Meeting, or PALM. This move is seen as a way for Japan to counter China's influence in the region by strengthening ties with Pacific Island Forum members. The leaders also emphasized Japan's support in areas such as climate change, maritime security, defense, and economic development, as well as the importance of peace, stability, and a rules-based international order. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong also attended the summit, underscoring the significance of the Pacific region for stability and security. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and the Los Angeles Dodgers will open the 2025 season against Japanese players Shota Imanaga, Seiya Suzuki, and the Chicago Cubs in Tokyo on March 18th to 19th. The series at Tokyo Dome celebrates the 25th anniversary of the first regular season games played in Japan. The Dodgers will be opening their season outside of North America for the second consecutive year after playing the San Diego Padres in the 2024 Seoul Series. The so-called Rivalry Weekend will take place on May 16th to the 18th, featuring matchups between prime interleague and state rivals. The 95th All-Star Game will be held on July 15th, with the season concluding on September 28th with 8 divisional matchups. In Olympics news, Japan women's artistic gymnastics captain Shoko Miyata is facing expulsion from the Olympic Games for allegedly breaking a smoking ban. The JGA, Japan Gymnastics Association, is conducting an investigation, casting doubt on Miyata's participation in the Paris Olympics. Smoking goes against the association's code of conduct. The 19-year-old missed a training session in Monaco, with her absence attributed to unspecified reasons. Miyata, who won bronze at the 2022 World Championship, will be interviewed by the JGA and her university team upon returning to Japan. Japan is aiming for their first artistic gymnastics team medal since the 1964 Tokyo Games at the upcoming Paris Olympics, starting on July 26th. New Zealander Tatiana Miller is being praised as a hero in Japan for rescuing an elderly woman who had fallen into a river. During the rainy season, Miller found the woman in distress near the Sadamatsu River. Despite language barriers, she jumped into the water to help the woman, who had injuries and was disoriented. With the help of her partner and his grandmother, they carried the woman back to her home, where they waited for help to arrive. Miller received recognition for her actions and plans to check in on the woman's recovery. Despite the attention, she remains humble, saying helping others is just the right thing to do. Myanmar's military regime is cracking down on industries like retail and real estate due to economic challenges like inflation and capital outflows. Hiroshi Kasamatsu, an Aeon supermarket executive, was detained in June for allegedly breaking rice pricing rules and could face jail time. City Mart Holdings CEO Fayoe Min Kiao was also detained for similar violations. The regime is tightening control over finance and real estate to prevent money leaving the country. Major banks were summoned to the capital, Naypyidaw, to discuss financial stability, causing concern in the industry. The crackdown has worsened credit conditions and inflation in Myanmar, with the kyat weakening against the dollar. Businesses catering to wealthy customers could be affected and real estate prices may rise further. Japan's top admiral resigned amidst public distrust of the defense ministry and self-defense forces due to recent scandals. Ryo Sakai was replaced by Akira Saito after disciplinary actions were taken against 218 members and bureaucrats for mishandling information. Scandals included sharing classified information, fraudulent allowances, abuse of power, and failure to pay for food. Defense Minister Kihara faced calls for resignation but apologized and pledged to prevent further incidents. The ministry also investigated alleged slush funds involving Kawasaki Heavy Industries. Despite criticism, Kihara and Chief Cabinet Secretary Hayashi stated that leadership changes were not imminent. Okubo Bar, an Italian restaurant near Tokyo's Koreatown, sparked controversy by declaring they wouldn't serve Chinese or Korean customers due to past unpleasant experiences. This decision caused outrage online, with many condemning the restaurant for discrimination. Some defended the establishment's right to refuse service, while others criticized the lack of tolerance and diversity. Similar incidents, such as a shrine banning Koreans in Tsushima, have also stirred online debate. Despite messages of support, the restaurant's actions have triggered concerns about discrimination and inclusivity in Japan. In fiscal 2022, Japan exceeded its food waste reduction target set for fiscal 2030 by reducing waste by 510,000 tons year-on-year, totaling 4.72 million tons of food waste. Measures such as relaxing delivery deadlines and extending expiration dates contributed to this success. However, household waste fell short of the reduction target by 200,000 tons. The government plans to continue educating consumers on the impact of food waste on household budget and aims to further reduce waste in line with Sustainable Development Goals by halving per capita global food waste by 2030. This has been the Tokyo Bill Weekly Update. I've been, and remain, Tokyo Bill. Thank you for listening, and take care.